What's up, peeps? Welcome to Copper Cactus DIY, where I celebrate all things furniture, from creation to coding and everything in between. In today's video, I'm giving some much-needed glow-up love to this trash can holder. Stick around to see the transformation because I'm getting started right now. So I spared you the horror of seeing my full trash can, or the horror of seeing the full recycling bin, but I still had to clear out the rest of our utility items from the piece before I could get started. So you get the drawer. In surprising fashion for me, I've actually managed to keep the clutter in this drawer to a minimum. I removed the drawers, then tipped the cabinet onto its back. That's when I discovered just how gross some areas actually were. Especially the areas around all four knobs. The one that's on the trash side though, that one was the worst. I didn't want to saturate the wood and risk it expanding, but I definitely needed to get it pretty clean before I sanded. So I used a dish scouring pad and a little bit of Palmolive dish soap to remove all these stains. After cleaning, I used a barely damp rag to remove any immediate residue. Then I left it to dry while I finished cleaning. Using a 150 grit, I sanded over the entire piece. I did something stupid while sanding the trash side, so I opened it and then my fingers slipped off the knob. That made the door come crashing down onto my left thumb. I freaked out and it hurt a lot, but I tried to be a trooper and finished the job with my left hand wrapped in an ice-filled towel. Thankfully, that part didn't take me very long. I vacuumed off the majority of the dust while I was still icing my thumb because I really wanted this project to be like a one-day quickie project. That's because I'm also hard at work over in my artist studio. Right now, I am in the midst of finishing book 1 in my upcoming 3-book essay collection that I'm launching in 2024. If you don't follow me for free over at my Amazon author page and you would like to, I'll put a link down in the video description. That book I mentioned, it's also inspiring a limited edition art collection, which I'll have available on my website next spring. All my links are below, and I thank you so much for the support, peeps. With vacuuming done, I grabbed a barely damp rag, wiped things down, and left it all to dry. I didn't want to stain the inside of the drawers at this time. I'm still trying to decide how to finish them off, so instead I just taped around, leaving the drawer face exposed. I'm not staining the back, but I do want to top coat it, so I removed all but a kind of faded maker's mark. For this cabinet, I'm using my favorite Faux Effects Stain and Seal in Pickling White. Okay, so show of hands, how many of you just freaked out because I didn't use shellac or some other stain blocker under my white stain? I'm actually doing that fully on purpose, and I'm hoping to get bleed through because I only have white stain on hand, and since I'm not really doing furniture full time anymore, I don't want to go out and buy new stain just for this one project, so I'm using the white stain. I'm hoping to get bleed through because this trash container lives right next to this credenza that I will put up somewhere on the screen here. And I really want those tones to come a little bit closer together as opposed to like the credenza color and this white stain. So if I can get a little bleed through, they're going to be a lot closer in tone. So please don't scream at me because I'm doing this on purpose. Thanks, peeps. My favorite thing about this stain is that it performs like a gel stain, but this formula is not quite the same as a standard gel stain. It's proprietary. Faux Effects products are so pigmented, and this stain will dry down a touch lighter than it first goes on, which means I can build it up to the coverage that I want, or I could thin it out, using about 10% water if I wanted slightly more of a washed effect. But I didn't want that here. I went full strength on dry wood because I really wanted maximum coverage. As I got to the bottom of the door front though, I realized that I forgot to mask off all of the brass hinges. Since the hinges are an odd shape, I did not want to deal with the nightmare of tape on that. So instead, I grabbed my tiny bottle of liquid latex and I brushed on a thick, even layer. I'm not gonna lie, I was super disappointed to watch the brass tarnish almost immediately under that latex. But I figured the damage was already done, so I just coated everything to protect it from the stain. That actually took a while to dry. While the latex dried, I worked on pickling the drawer fronts. Again, I went in full strength with my stain, and I pulled it directionally along with the wood graining. I left the hardware screws installed because pine is a softwood and removing them could, over time, compromise the wood knobs staying secure. I just removed any overstain with a rag. With the latex dry, I could get back to the cabinet. I finished my one and only coat on everything. After finishing the stain, I went to rest my thumb for the rest of the night. In the morning, I started on top coat. I gave all the stained parts 2 generous coats of Modern Masters Dead Flat Varnish. This is my favorite top coat because it helps this to self-level. Because of the properties of stain and seal, you shouldn't sand it after you apply, but because this wood is pine, the stain actually raised the grain slightly. So after 2 coats of Modern Masters, my surface was super smooth and really well protected. I pulled the tape immediately, and I did coat 2 off camera, but while coat 1 dried, I went and dealt with the hardware. All right, peeps, I'm going to try to get the satisfying latex pull. Let's see what happens. Well, I tried. Well, I tried. Yeah, I said that, but it's all I can say. And in case you're wondering, why yes, my nails are glow in the dark. Cute, right? All right, I'm going to keep working on this off camera, and then I will bring you back in when I am obviously touching these things up with some rub and buff, because the latex definitely dulled the shine of the brass. But first, I gave the back 1 generous coat of Dead Flat. Then I gave the knobs 1 coat of black chalkboard paint, and I left them to dry for about an hour, hour and a half. With a small soft makeup brush, I applied antique gold rub and buff using 1 solid coat over the entire knob. Then I used a cloth to buff off the excess. After that, all I had left were finishing touches. While I add rub and buff to the hinges, let me just say thank you so much for being here and watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're into furniture refinishing, painting, and artistry. Subscribing is free, and it helps me to keep making content like this for you. The button is below, and I really appreciate you clicking on it. Stick around to see the before and after shots. Later, peeps! That cracking sound was my knee. You girl's getting old. Than she used to be. Do you know how hard it is to not use a thumb?
Almost impossible.
Almost impossible. It hurts us, precious.